and good evening. We are live here on September 29th, 2024 already. Wow, time flies. But welcome to Let's Talk on Real Talk on Parental Alienation and our birthday wishes tonight for all September alienated children worldwide. I have Dolores Feliciano from Long Island, New York. Welcome, Dolores. She is our host every month here on Let's Talk Real Talk, and she brings on birthdays to our alienated children, grandparents, alienated parents. You know, we all need to be wished and loved. So this just goes to show that we think of all alienated parents, grandparents, and children. And we try and bring some kind of normal back into our lives because, you know, we're all alone. Once we lose our children, we lose half the family. So welcome, Dolores, to Let's Talk Real Talk. Birthday wishes tonight with Molly and me.
Hi, Mary. Hi, everyone out there. This is a very special night, as we have every end of the month of every of the year. This is what our third birthday celebration. We started back in July when we had our birthdays. So
Yes.
now, yes, so now we're doing all of September, and I have 3 special names to be read. And so you let me know when you're ready, and I'll read them off.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
All right. Well, we have a Miss Luca Lee. Birth date is 9/15. That's going out to Luca Lee from your daddy. Happy birthday, Miss Luca Lee.
Happy
And then we
birthday,
have
Luca Lee.
happy birthday. Here's the horn. Happy birthday. Happy birthday. And then we have a Mr. Young Julian Orvieto Fasoli. A birthday from 9/7. Your birthday was 9/7, September 7th. Happy birthday to you, Mr. Young Julian. Happy
Happy
birthday.
birthday.
Then we have a Miss Melanie Faith King, whose birthday was September 19th, who happens to be my daughter. Happy
Oh,
birthday.
happy birthday. Oh, how
Happy
old is
sweet
she?
16. Sweet 16
16.
to my
Wow, what a
beautiful daughter.
milestone.
And
Wow,
I would like to
16.
share with you, Mary, I would like to share with you and with the viewers out there of what I've done and
Okay,
possibly give an idea out to the parents if they haven't thought so of it themselves. I had sent because we know that my daughter is out of state. And so it's very difficult for us parents when we have that type of situation. It's, when you don't see your child and they're far away and you don't know how to send them something, let alone if you know that they received it. So
exactly.
I sent to her birthday corsage, and every year it's a tradition that I sent her a birthday corsage. And while up here, when doing so, was always being rejected, not so much by her, but from, you know, the household. So I just sent out a beautiful corsage, and I wanted to let her know that I have a picture of it here in case she was not able to receive it in the mail. But this is her birthday corsage. Can you see
Oh,
it?
how beautiful. Yes.
And with pearls. And I was told that she was not at home. But just in case she did not receive it, I sent a little message to her on it, and it reads, Melanie, sweetheart, your birthday corsage was delivered to you on September 17th. A little early, I know. Driver had been told that you were not at home. So I took a picture of it for you, so you have not received it. And the card reads, Melanie, sweetheart, wishing you the best day ever on celebrating your special sweet 16. Love forever, Mom. And so that was her
Beautiful.
corsage. And then
Beautiful.
what I did was on her birthday, I sent another delivery. and I wanted to share it. And this was special for her birthday. It was a beautiful vase of roses, along with a candle and some chocolates. And
Beautiful.
in case she did not receive that, because I was told again that her dad received it from the driver, and I can only hope that she received it thereafter. But along with it was a card that reads, "To my daughter Melanie, wishing you a beautiful sweet 16 birthday weekend, the best day ever. I love always and forever, mom, family, and friends." And it
Beautiful.
was delivered to her that day, actually after her birthday, the 21st. Delivery was made to the address at 11:30 a.m. And enjoy your very special birthday weekend. So I just wanted to share that with everyone. Um, and those were my three names. Do you have anybody, Miss Mary?
Do I have anybody? Well, we had Jules on our show a few weeks ago. Her daughter, uh, JC, has had a birthday. So I just want to wish her a happy birthday.
Happy
And
birthday!
um, have, let's see. I really don't know many in September, but it is, um, let's see. I know a few coming up in October, which is this
Ah,
coming week.
well,
So we'll be celebrating them next month.
we'll be celebrating. I'll be here. I'll be here waiting for that day. It's the last weekend of the month, correct?
Yes. So that would
So
be last Sunday of the month.
yes, last Sunday of the month. And we'll be celebrating all of October birthdays for the alienated children and their parents who want to join in and come aboard and just leave some loving thoughts and birthday wishes for their child or children. Um, but so what
Mhm.
else? What else? Got this whole setup here, balloons and lights and candles, and I have a little cake. So we're gonna light that soon. So you just let me
Actually,
know.
you know what? It's Wendy McDonald's daughter's birthday. She's out with her today celebrating
Happy
her
birthday.
20th, I'd like to say 25th birthday. She was an alienated child. They reunited just in the
Wonderful.
last couple of years, which is, but things are not perfect, but at least she gets to see the child. And, there's hope for connection eventually down the road with her grandchild because you know, they don't get to see the grandchild as often as they want to. The stipulations, once somebody else takes control of a child, not even a parent gets to see them, even though the parent has the right. They're under control. They're under
Yes.
the thumb of the other people. So it's very
Yes.
difficult for all children that are wishing to be with a parent
Yes.
that was alienated from, because it's very difficult to get away once you're trapped in a
Yes.
situation. So
Oh
we
yes.
need
That's
to, we
that's
need sorry, we need to bring awareness to how these children are missing out on the greatest day of their lives. You know, birthdays.
oh,
Birthdays are important.
oh, very important. They're missing out on their childhood, and they're missing out on celebrating themselves.
Yes.
Birthdays, that's what I feel, because they're half of each parent. And no matter where they are on their birthday, they're always thinking about that absentee parent. They're thinking either, did they remember my birthday? Are they
Mhm.
thinking of me? Are they celebrating me today? So it's very important. It's very important that we do this. I think, I want to thank you, Mary, for allowing us to do this every month. I think it's vital not just for the child, but for the parents. And I don't know about you, Mary, but I'm getting word that this was like a fantastic idea, and if there's a way that we can, um, if there's a way, I'm getting some messages now. I'm getting some messages that they're responding to the messenger link. So we may actually have people looking in, although I don't see anybody on the feed. Maybe you do, Mary, but
Not yet.
not
Not
yet,
yet.
huh?
Not yet.
Okay. Okay.
But yes, it is important to have something like this because
Oh,
where do
yes.
parents reach out to? Our kids, we know our kids are out there on social media watching us. And,
But then
if
again,
I,
are they? What do you think that all of them are? Like, for instance, with my Melanie, I don't know if she has a phone. I don't know, and if she does have a phone, that it's probably more than likely being watched. It's being censored by the other parents so that there is no contact from me. Um, so I'm just doing this by chance. You know, I mean, we don't even know. I mean, yes, they're smart. Yes, they'll find a way. I do believe it, but they're constantly being monitored and blocked and kept from trying to reach out. So I can only hope that my daughter Melanie sees this somehow, some way. But you know, there's always a way to reach out and do it. I continue to send items and hoping that she at least had a glimpse of it, you know.
mm-hmm,
Um, it's not even the point of, even if they did receive it and they said it was from them, you know, the most important thing is that she sees it, how she feels and what she thinks about it. Maybe she will know that it was from me. But it gives me hope, you know. It gives me hope in thinking that somehow, some way, she does know of this.
mm-hmm.
I even sent pictures via the her journal page, and just constantly copying and pasting. It's just not a giving up situation. You just do what you can, and you just pray that somehow they're seeing it. Oh,
Right.
we have someone.
Hi.
Hello.
Hello, hello.
Hello,
Hello.
hello. Welcome to our
Welcome.
party. Welcome to our party.
Well, it looks like a party, so I said,
It's a
"Hey,
birthday celebration.
I might have to join this party." This is a parental
Yes,
alienation
yes.
party.
Yes, it is. It's a birthday celebration. Hi, can you introduce yourself, where you're from?
Sure, my name is Joseph Gormley. I live in Cherry Hill, New Jersey, and I'm an alienated dad, so I guess that's why you invited me.
Wow.
Yes, I did. Thanks for
Wow.
coming on. I'm so glad you're here.
You know, I
I'm
use
so
StreamYard. I use StreamYard all the time. I was like, "Who's inviting me to a StreamYard?" I never got invited to a StreamYard before, like on the fly like that. Like, I just did. I have a podcast with my two pastors, and we just interviewed this guy on last Wednesday. And I was just as you're talking, I was posting up links to that, and there you are with all your birthday gear. How about
Wow.
that?
Right
Yes,
on.
yes.
Good for you.
So
Thank you.
So, how long
yes,
you guys
so
been alienated?
well,
I've been
for,
alienated
mhm.
19 years now.
Okay.
19.
How about you,
And
Dolores?
for me, it's going on, I would have to say 11,
I'm 10.
11, 12. Yeah, I've lost
Oh,
count.
wait a
I've
minute.
lost count.
No, I'm 9. No, 2000
9.
May 8th, 2015.
Okay.
So,
9 too many.
yeah, 9
Yes,
years.
exactly. So,
Yep.
so Joe, let you know why we're doing this.
Yeah,
It
tell me what you're
actually,
doing.
yeah, it actually was an idea that I had in mind. And Mary, so I'm honored that she had offered to join in on the idea. Her and I basically share the same birthday, and it just came to me on our birthdays in July. I said, "Hey, why don't we celebrate, on such a dismal topic, or, why don't we celebrate them on their birthdays? Parents are having difficult times reaching out to their children or young adult or teenage or young adult. And I said, why don't we just use social media as a way to reach out and celebrate their birthdays, and to have the alienated parent leave a loving message to their child. And so I thought it was just a great idea. So what we do is every end of every month,
Uh-huh.
we combine all the children's birthdays for that month and we celebrate them.
Wow.
Ain't
That's
that cool?
fantastic. I love it. That's great.
And then you
Yeah.
pop up on the podcast and wish your child or yourselves a happy birthday.
That's
There
great.
you
Grandparents,
go.
anyone out there that's alienated, we all need, we all need a little bit of love from someone else, because it helps us know that we're not the only ones out there that are missing out on our children's birthdays, even our own birthdays. The kids made a big deal when
Uh-huh.
we're all
Yeah.
celebrating as a family unit, and then
Yeah.
all of a sudden that gets taken away. And that's so heartbreaking for the child, because that they always remember, blowing candles and balloons and parties, and wow. And here we
Man,
are,
here
you
we are.
know, here we are.
And
So,
I don't
where are you broadcasting right now? Are
I'm
you
I'm
live on
from
Facebook or live on YouTube or multiple channels? What do you got?
Right now, I'm live from Hamilton, Ontario, Canada. And I'm on Facebook, YouTube, LinkedIn, Twitter. Where else are we? And I was shared to about 150 groups. So
Wow.
there's a lot out there. So I go to about, I don't know, million to 5 million people.
Got it. Very
and
nice.
I reside in Long Island.
Aha. Hicksville?
No. Probably no, I live in Suffolk County.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Hicksville's in Nassau counties. So yes, I'm between Ronkonkoma and Sayville area and Bayport, and
We
yeah,
probably met at that summer picnic they do up in Suffolk every year.
probably,
Yeah.
probably. Where do you reside, Joe?
I'm in Cherry Hill, New Jersey.
Oh, okay,
So I went
okay.
up to that. I went up to that picnic once or twice with those guys that do the. The one guy's the doctor, the pediatrician, and then I've been
Carlos
a little bit.
Rivera.
Yeah, Carlos, and
Hmm.
then of
So
course, yeah, there's a bunch of guys there. I'm having a memory lapse right now.
yeah,
I don't
I more
spend a
than
lot of time on Facebook anymore with the uh I used to have a podcast that I did. In fact, this is the logo from it right here.
I
I
think
just
I've
happened to
seen
grab it.
you, Joe. I've,
I
I've,
I've
think
I've,
seen, yeah.
I
I'm
think
pretty
Mary,
sure.
I think you were on my podcast. I'm
I
pretty
think
sure.
so. Now that
Yeah. I know.
I got the little tiny screen and I'm pretty blind, this alienation stuff is affecting my eyes. So now I
Yeah.
recognize you because I got the other phone, so I'm looking at you.
Yeah,
Sorry.
in fact, I took the website down. It was tough on my business, man. I mean, there's a lot of feminist hate out there that
Oh,
was really just
even I get it.
destroying me. Well, they think that they don't. I don't think half the population that comes alongside feminism understands that feminism hates motherhood.
Hmm.
Absolutely hates motherhood. They want to destroy motherhood. Is really the goal of feminism. So, I mean, people don't understand. They think that it means women's rights. It doesn't mean women's rights at all. So
And you're right. And you're right.
Anyway,
But the um the people that try to make it like we're junk science, pseudoscience, and all that are the ones that are the alienators. So when we get backlash and all that kind of stuff, we know where that's coming from. They're all, we hear this gender, that men get more alienated than women, or
that's
women get
nonsense.
alienated more than dads. But it's not the fact that one gets alienated over the other. It's whoever walks into the courtroom and the judges decide to pick on, is what
Yeah.
I see.
That is
And
Well,
correct. Yes, yes, yes.
you
so
know, I think it's the court system, you know, I mean, whoever has control of the kid is going to have um more of
access.
an opportunity to alienate. And I really do think I'm really anti-psychology. I think psychology is pretty evil. And if you've been through the court, I mean, psychology is used as a weapon of the court, really just to provide CYA for these judges. I don't know about in Canada, but in the U.S., because we don't have juries, the CYA that the judge gets is through the psychologist, and they don't care what kind of psychologist you get in there as long as both parties agree. And the problem
Mm,
with that is if you're a sharp attorney and you're doing your best to defend um your client, you're going to make sure that if your client is an alienator, that you don't get an alienation expert anywhere near that court. So when it's dependent upon both parties agreeing, you'll never get the right kind of expert. You
no.
guys, you guys know what I'm talking about?
Yes.
Hmm.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, these courts are rigged. They're rigged to keep the division between both parties. And speaking
Divorce.
about attorney, yeah, they are, and
Yeah.
it's geared that way to continue the litigation for profit. So it's
Why
it's
do
a
you think it's
racketeering
rigged?
business.
Why do you think it's rigged? Um,
Because it was made to be that way. The
what was the
government created
motivation?
this. The government created this entity just for the sole purpose of profit, and
Uh,
to divide the family, keep the mother and father apart by using the child as a weapon. It
Well,
is it is
I think it's more sinister even than that. I think
Oh,
I don't
definitely.
think
I'm
I think
just
the
putting it
profit is
lightly.
there. I
I'm
think the
just putting it
profit is
lightly.
there. Oh, well, come on, Dolores. Let's lay it all out on the table here.
Well, this
Lay
is
it
not
out
this.
turkey.
Yeah, I can get into it, but this is not the podcast to do so. This is a
Oh,
celebratory podcast
okay.
a
Okay.
celebratory evening.
Okay.
But yes, I do hold vigil. I do hold peaceful a peaceful support over at the courthouses for the parents, the past, the present, and the future children, and their targeted parents who have succumbed to the legal abuse of the system.
Yeah.
So, but I do that there, and it's mainly just supporting the parents, the fathers, the mothers, the grandparents, the children.
Yeah.
Children come up to me. I give free hugs. I give free tea. I give knowledge. And it's only from my experience.
Yeah.
And they're so grateful. It's not a happy place, and like I said, that could be. You can invite me on your podcast, and we can have a serious discussion. But today is a
Yeah.
day specifically to celebrate, and we can speak for hours on this dismal topic. But tonight specifically, we're just celebrating the children and the parents who have difficulty reaching out to their children to wish them a happy birthday.
Mm.
And it's just a time for celebration. We
Okay.
can
When's
every
your kid's
day.
birthday?
Well, I've named three already. We've had my daughter's birthday just passed. She was sweet 16
Happy birthday.
on the 19th of September. We have Miss Luca Lee, who gives a shout out, who's giving her father's giving a shout out to her. She turned another year on the 15th of September. We have a Mr. Julian Orvieto Fasoli, who celebrated his birthday on September 7th. So we have several, and we've just begun this idea back in July, right, Mary? When our birthdays were in
yes.
July, and
Yes.
we're just starting out, and we're just spreading the word. And I
Mm.
don't know if you've seen my reminder post regarding this special event, but we hold it every month at the end of the last Sunday of every month, celebrating all birthdays during that month. So, but yeah, anytime.
I did see your posts, and anyone whose main picture says seek God and in the quiet moments worship God, they got my attention. So you got my attention, Dolores. because my new podcast is just all about Jesus, but it's Jesus in the culture.
Oh, that's
So
wonderful.
we do periodically talk about parental alienation. We had Mark Ludwig on about a month ago. Mark Ludwig, I'm sure.
Yep.
And so so sporadically we do talk about that. And then we held at an event. We had one of Mark's events at my church. So that was great.
So
Oh,
tell
that's
me, Joe,
wonderful.
do you find that churches are helping helping with parental alienation? I don't see it in my church. I don't see the help. I don't see them talking about it. I
Yeah.
mean, what I hear is a lot of forgive.
Right.
Um, but how can you keep forgiving someone that goes to church that keeps abusing you with your children,
Right.
abusing you as a human,
Right.
or, there's a lot of abuse out there that's hidden.
Right, right. So one of the problems is a good church stays away from psychology, and psychologists are the only ones that have really done any research on this, right? So your all the people that really researched what is really what you got to do is position it with your church and go talk to your pastors and say, look, there's some specific sin issues inside of a divorce after a divorce happens that the church isn't addressing. And so I've had that conversation with some pastors as my pastor. I've had conversations with my old pastor, and I left that church. And so, there's the problem is we got three kinds of churches out there right now, right? So you've got if you you can split up people in all kinds of groups, but if I just want to, to address the problem you asked about, let me explain what you got. So you've got your far right churches. We call those blue churches. They've got rainbow flags out front, and usually the pastor's a woman, and so they've got all kinds of unbiblical things going on in their church. They're not going to address anything. They're full of feminism and stuff like that. And so then you've got on the opposite end of the spectrum, you do have some very good churches that are willing to call out evil when they see evil and be the. This is what I heard this quote today actually in church. This Martin Luther King Jr. said that the church is not to be subject to or subject over the government. The church isn't supposed to be over the government or under the government. The church is supposed to be the conscience of the government. And when churches don't act as the conscience of the government, they are not doing God's will. And so the churches you're talking about
Amen.
that aren't interested in parental alienation and the pain and suffering that their neighbors are going through. Look, Jesus summed up the whole law with two things. He said, love God with all your heart, mind, and soul, and love your neighbor as yourself. You can't love your neighbor if the government is stealing your neighbor's children. You just can't.
You can't.
So
Exactly.
we talk about that periodically. My new podcast, by the way, it's called Tearing Down High Places. So if you study the book of if you studied the book First and Second Kings, old books in the Old Testament, there were these good kings. Mostly they were bad kings, but even the good kings, when they did good, they still didn't tear down the high places. Those are areas of cultural compromise that need to be pulled down. And parental alienation and divorce and no fault divorce and forced child support upon people who didn't want to get divorced in the first place is absolutely ridiculous. It's
And
evil.
let me, yeah, and very well put. And let me add on to that, Joe, with the love thy neighbor as thyself. You can't love anyone if you don't like or love yourself first.
Sure.
And God is in each and every one of us. That is what our
Hmm.
soul is. And if
Hmm.
we are having issues within ourselves, we need to first heal them. First, accept them,
Mm.
acknowledge them, accept, and then want to heal. And then once we heal, we can learn to like and love ourselves. So if based upon the word of God, you can't love your neighbor if you don't love yourself. You're not going to treat your neighbor you're going to treat your neighbor the
Well,
same way that you're treating yourself.
well,
So
I
that's
I don't
part of,
complete I don't completely disagree with you, but I'd say Americans have a little they love themselves a little too much, right? We
well,
need to be
Some
able
yes,
to.
do.
we're
Yes,
going, well, that's based upon the selfishness. We live in a very selfish world. All right,
Right.
that's already been
You wanna
prophesized.
love who God made you, and
Right.
you wanna glorify him. So, when we're talking about
Correct.
love and what you're talking about, when I talk about love, I think the Bible always talks about love, the action. So, when we talk about loving your neighbor, we're not talking about how you feel about your neighbor. You don't When you love your enemy, you're not talking about warm, gushy feelings you feel for your enemy. You're talking
No,
about
that's not what I'm saying. That's what
right.
now you're talking about loving a relationship, and that also goes with
Well, I
that.
think
What I'm saying is,
when Jesus said, "Love your neighbor," that's what he's talking about. You don't even have to
oh,
like your neighbor.
of
You
course,
don't
but
even have to like
you have to learn how to respect yourself, and it
you have
all
to
goes back to your character.
yeah, well, you have to be willing to sacrifice for others,
Yes.
right? That's the
Of
kind of
course,
love that
of
Jesus was
course,
talking about when he says,
right.
"Love your neighbor."
Selfless.
Hopefully.
Correct,
Yes,
correct,
yes.
correct. That's
And
what we're not
To
willing to do. We hate our neighbors so much, we started turning them into the police because they weren't wearing masks, you know? That's how much we love our neighbor. It's
or the
horrible.
dog barking too much, or yeah, that it's so true.
Oh yeah, I live in a condo, and I had a foster daughter for a while, and she was bouncing a basketball out in the parking lot. No, you can't do that. Okay.
mhm, yeah. So how do you love your neighbor when you're getting turned in all the time, and
Yeah,
sometimes you're not even there, and then you got all these tickets stuck to your door from the police because you're disturbing the peace, and you're
yeah.
50 miles away.
I left I
A lot
left
of
my
you
people
last
said
just
I left my last church because they changed the rules in Sunday school. I was a Sunday school teacher for about a decade, and they changed the rules. They said, all right, no longer if you suspect child abuse, because they have these mandatory reporter laws all over the place about child abuse. If you suspect child abuse, don't come to the pastor, don't go to the elders. Instead, call up this toll-free number for Child Protective Services. I flipped. And I'm overweight and it's hard for me to flip. So just it was crazy. I said, guys, we're violating like 15 different scriptures, and you can't trust CPS. But these people, they think CPS are just the nice people that help you adopt kids. It's like, but they're clueless. But first of all, Matthew 18 and Deuteronomy 19 would never let you do any of those. You need 2 or 3 witnesses. You need, to address a sin if somebody's sinning, and you've got to address the person. They said, don't tell the person you suspect of child abuse. Just call this toll-free number. Just crazy. So, but this is the culture we live in. The culture we live in hates their neighbor, hates their neighbor.
I agree with you. There's a lot of that. The narcissistic world, 50% of the world is narcissistic. They hate, others, but they love themselves.
Interesting word. I'm not a fan of it. Let me tell you why.
I know,
Because
me neither.
when you call someone a narcissist, you're taking what psychology means to use as a disease and applying it to somebody who has a sin issue, not somebody who is so you're letting them off. You're like saying, oh, they can't help it, they're
You give them a
narcissists.
title, yes.
You give them a label, and
A
everybody loves a
label.
label. They can take the
Yeah.
label and get government services because of the label they got. Anyway, Dolores wants to talk about birthdays. I'm bumming you guys out. My alienated daughter had a birthday in July when you guys started this, I guess.
A
So
happy birthday
she,
to your daughter.
July 6th,
happy
she turned
birthday. Wait a
20.
second. Wait a second.
Woo!
Happy birthday. What day in July, Joe?
July 6th. July 6th, she was
Ah,
born.
July
Yeah.
Nice.
6th.
She turned
All right.
20, and
Okay.
she's out in Cleveland. She's got a full scholarship to the Cleveland Institute of Music, where she's studying. I think
Wonderful.
she's studying violin. She's already knows the violin backwards and forwards. But
Nice.
yeah, yeah, it was great because
Wonderful.
in New Jersey. Oh, I'm so glad she got a scholarship because otherwise I'd have to pay for it, and I just couldn't afford it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
for
that's
paying court
quite
fees and
pricey.
all that. Yes, who can? I
Two
want to
Quite
hundred
say hi.
sixty
pricey.
I
thousand
want to
dollars.
say hello to Lisa Breeze Link out there. Lisa was one of my guests
Yes.
on the podcast. Nice to see you, Lisa. Thank you for, all your support here. And yes, Joe was spot on. And to have uh, like a psychological warfare out there with our children, there's a lot that we need to bring to the table so people can understand what's happening to our kids psychologically, because this is really a hard mental abuse, because I've been through it. I
Mm.
was alienated from my own father for 40 years, and the feeling that we get as an alienated child is horrific. And
Oh,
now
you
that
were an alienated child, not a parent.
no,
Or
I'm
both. I
both.
think you were
I'm
both, right?
both. I'm
Yeah.
both. I'm now an alienated mom from my ex was an alienated child from birth
Right.
to never having a father. So he knew all those tactics while we were together. And for 19 years, my kids have been weaponized.
Yeah.
And now I'm getting at both ends. I'm glad I reunified with my father before he passed, but I had to find him on his deathbed to connect with him. And
Yeah.
this is how my stepmother released the burden, I guess,
Yeah.
or I don't know how to call it when they let go and say, okay, go see your father now. What is that? Is that like taking the handcuffs off?
Mm.
But by then they're already on their deathbed. They're old
Mhm.
and ready to kick the bucket, basically. We don't want to be there with our children. We don't want that to happen. We would want our children to step forward now as adults to become adults, because alienated children will never grow up. Deep
Mm.
down inside, they will always be that alienated child.
Mm.
Because I remember when I was alienated, I still feel that age.
Mm.
I don't feel the age I'm supposed to be.
Oh,
Yes, you're living. You're
I
you're
wish I
now
felt
living
like a
out.
kid.
You're now living out your childhood that you
Yes,
lost when you were.
yes.
Yes,
And
yes.
when I had my children, I thought I was still a child. That I could relate to them better because I thought I was more their age when they were little.
Mhm.
You understand what I'm saying? Like,
Oh, so totally, totally.
okay,
You
good,
went. You
good.
went through a split. Your mind went through a split, and you had lost your childhood, and so when you've become an adult and you were free from that
Yes,
you were
the
free from the surroundings of being alienated, you still were that lost child inside. Yeah.
yeah. It was like the chains and the shackles came off, and
Yep.
I got to be a
Right.
kid with my
Right.
kid growing up. So it
Right.
was the most beautiful relationship I had with my kids. But as an alienated father that never had any of that, didn't know how to relate to it. So he was always gone. He always excluded himself. And then when we got alienated, the children were teenagers, they wanted their father because they never had them. This was their opportunity to push me aside, saying, we spent all our life with you, mom. How about we have dad? This is how I saw it. I stepped back, but to do it for 19 years, there's got to be an end to it. So my only wish is for all children for their birthdays to come forward if they're adults, right? So
Yeah. I would love that this video was reaching my daughter. But she is extremely alienated, so I doubt
So
that she would show
Joe,
up.
if you had a message you wanted to send out to your daughter, why don't you do it now?
Because she's gonna sue me again. It's gonna cost me 25 grand in court. That's why.
Well, let's leave that
I've been
aside.
there
And if
three
you,
times, Joe,
yeah,
and you know
let's
what? They
leave.
never got anything out of me because we need to let them understand that they can't sue us. They want money, come see us. I'll
Yeah,
give it to you. I'll hand you whatever you want.
I wouldn't do that either. But listen, it's yeah, what do I want to say to my daughter? She's out in Cleveland. I wish her nothing but the best. I want her to know that I'm not driving out to Cleveland to go to any of her concerts, which is what she told the court she didn't want me to do. This was just a couple of years ago. When she was 18, I went to two of her concerts at Temple University, and the second one they arrested me and gave me a temporary restraining order, which I defended myself against. cost me 25 grand, and
Wow.
I was able to not get a full restraining order against me. So my ex and my daughter have tried twice to get me on restraining orders, and it's just amazing because they're just using them as weapons because I wasn't chasing them or anything. I did go to my wife's I'm sorry, my daughter's birthday. I went down to her house when she turned 18, and I dressed as a panda because we all know what the acronym PANDA stands for, right? Parent
No.
Parental alienation needs decisive action. That's
Oh,
the
okay.
international.
Panda.
That's the
Oh, okay.
acronym from the International Parental Alienation Day. It happens in April every year.
25th.
Yeah,
25th.
yeah.
Going for
So
25th.
anyway, I
Where
dressed as a panda on her birthday.
Panda. Okay. I've never
I
heard
it's
panda.
the first time I'm hearing of this, a
Yeah.
panda being uh uh a mascot to parental alienation.
It is. It is. If you ever saw
Wow.
Bubbles of Love Day, you ever saw Bubbles of Love Day on
Yes.
Bubbles of
Oh,
love, I know.
okay. Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, they had a panda. The international the international organization that started the
Started, yes.
April
Yeah.
25th
Yes,
event.
I remember. I
Yeah.
remember because I
Started
had
emo. Yeah.
right.
He
I
was,
had began blowing bubbles for my daughter on Sunday, but didn't hear of the
we,
panda. And as far as the international April 25th being the proclamation day, I know of Texas, San Antonio, Texas, and California made that day. The mayors made that day. Now, I went to my town senator here in Long Island, New York, and I brought forth a proclamation for him to push and bring onto the floor in New
Mhm.
York to
Yep.
make that day Parental Alienation Awareness Day. And do
Good
you
for
know
you.
what he came back to tell me? He
Oh
came
no.
back to tell me, yes, he came back to tell me that the state found it too controversial.
Interesting.
and
Yeah.
you know what? I
Interesting.
did it in Hamilton, Ontario as well.
Same,
Same
same.
thing. They will not let us raise the flag for parental alienation either.
I
So
So
thought Canada,
I have
I thought Canada already had that proclamation. But
certain cities did. Brampton did. Chefanisa had the alienation.
Stefanisa, yes, I
Yeah,
remember.
yeah.
he had the flag raised, but now I don't think they're doing it there either. They may have been told not to do it. I don't know. I'm not sure, but
Oh, really?
yeah. So
Interesting.
we've been trying to get Burlington. We can't even get that. I mean, none of the cities here in Ontario are going for this. So, but I
Hmm.
have Holly.
I'm gonna have to look into that one.
Yeah,
Holly got Gage, is that her name?
Gardner.
Gauger?
Gardner. Yeah, she writes. I love that you just said psychological warfare. The music industry is gloating about their mastery of psychological warfare against each other now. And it's been going on in these systems for decades. And yes, it has been. I mean, like I said, my ex husband's 64 years alienated. So, I mean, we were both born 59. By 1960, he was in the court system. And he's been in it all his life, 64 years now, being in the court system, making money. Even as an adult, they're making money from him because now he's using our children. So imagine being in the system all your life. You don't know anything else. Is that where we want our children to head into? They're going to
No,
they're divorcing before they even get married.
no. And
This
my
is,
advocacy, yeah, no, I 100%, and that is why I do what I do, excuse me, to educate, and my hopes that the advocacy and activists will educate the next generation before they choose to want or decide to want to become parents themselves. They have to learn about this system. They have to learn about parental alienation and how the system is actually enabling that.
mhm.
What we have to
Enabling
do
that.
TJ,
is we have to get rid of this system. It's godless. It's a godless system.
Oh,
It's
definitely,
not
definitely
designed to support
dismantle,
marriage.
dis dismantle, abolish, just tear it down. It's
Tear it down. Tear it down.
unconstitutional. Tear it down. Unconstitutional. Change is coming.
Yep.
Every administrator in that system is being told what to do, how to do it.
Yeah.
That place is not geared to help out families. They're the only family that they assist or help is the people within that system, the
Yes.
So most
judges, the
most alienated
attorneys.
parents I
And
know are never getting married again, and that's really sad, especially if we're Christians. Um, here's what I can share
I'll
that
never do it again.
yeah, no, it's and I get it. I didn't want to either. So I was
Well, you
after
can. You just don't have to sign papers. You don't have to sign that certificate. Once you sign that paper, you become property of the courts. It's how it is
even if
with our birth certificate.
it's
We're
actually
slaves.
it's actually worse than that. You know, if you live with somebody long enough, you're still subject to family court nonsense. They can drag you into family court. So I will share what I did, and maybe it'll help some people. There are 3 states in the United States, Louisiana, Arkansas, and Arizona, that will give you a covenant marriage license, which is more aligned with what marriage was before no fault divorce came into play. No fault divorce is the big criminal in this situation, where it refuses to hold a wicked person
Someone
accountable for
accountable.
the sins that they do. You can't hold people accountable with no fault divorce. So
Nope.
if you get a covenant marriage license, you can hold them accountable, at least to some things, and you can hold them accountable. They can't destroy the marriage that you've invested in, and run away with your kids, unless you violate the covenant, unless you commit adultery or you abandon the marriage in some way, shape, or form, including if you are incarcerated in prison for a long period
Okay,
of time.
now, Joe, I'm just going to ask you a question. Now, you've mentioned three things when you said that it doesn't matter if you're not married. So, are you talking about a 7-year relationship? And are you speaking of a relationship with or without children? Because the only way that you're going to be able to bring anything, a docket, into the family court is if there's a domestic violence case. If you have no children and you don't have papers saying that you're married, that's the only way that you're going to bring it into family court. So I'm asking you, is that what you're speaking of?
No, I'm talking about, yeah. If it depends on the state, where when the state recognizes your domestic relationship, right? So yeah, you
Okay,
don't
so
have to be
you are
married.
talking.
It
Oh,
depends.
okay, but
Could be
how are they recognizing that?
some states say you're legally married after you live together X amount of time, for a certain period of time, and they're going to treat
And
you
what
as though you
what
were married.
documents states that? How would they know that you're married? In other words, how do they come to know if there's nothing written that you're married? I'm just curious.
Oh my gosh, how do they come to know anything in these courts? The same way they come to know anything.
Do
So
they know anything?
yeah, they
Unless
if
something's
They
been brought to
assume.
their
look,
attention.
well,
Unless something's been brought to their attention, is
if
what
you
I'm
have a
saying.
dispute with your spouse who knows
Well, that's what I'm
everything
saying.
about you, or if you have a
Yes.
dispute with a person you've been living with for several years
Yes.
that knows everything about you, they're going to know everything. I mean, it's not really hard. As
If
if
someone
nothing
goes,
gets
if someone goes down to file, correct.
Yeah,
Correct.
exactly. So it's
Mhm.
problematic. So if you want to protect yourself, a covenant marriage is a great thing. The other thing I tell young people all the time, and I don't know if Holly's still on here, she'll get a kick out of this. Don't marry someone who doesn't read the Bible every day.
Exactly. Or go to church. I know I had to drag mine to church,
Church
and
isn't
every
enough.
single day, Sunday,
Hands
he'd
up.
call it. We'd
Hands
wake him
up.
up, wake him up, wake him up. You know that it was. I was Catholic. I was raised in the church, and when I tried to get married in a Catholic church, I couldn't because he wasn't Catholic. So
Yeah.
we got bonded. So kids
2 things I
come.
never do. I never try to convert Jews or Catholics. I try and get them to read their Bible. So read your Bible. Catholic Church doesn't teach the Bible. I was a Catholic for 35 years and I read very little scripture.
Oh, we
Um,
all had Bibles here.
in
We
Canada?
all had them. Yeah, we
Oh,
got them
good.
from each year. We got a Bible
Good,
when we
good,
went to
good.
school. So,
Good, good, good.
but when I got married, I was bonded Presbyterian. So when we had the children, I wanted them raised Catholic. So we got to baptize the children, They went to Catholic school because it was part of the military sort of thing. But once we got to a city, we both were not Catholic anymore. And in order to keep our children in the Catholic school, we had to get remarried. So I,
Ridiculous.
my
Oh my God, I
ex-husband
can't.
became Catholic. He is so against Catholics that he literally was made Catholic, and we got married in in front of a Catholic priest. Children were the best man and bridesmaids. We made it a big deal. So who
How do
got
you
the
tell
last
how
laugh?
do you tell people the difference between a Presbyterian and a Catholic?
I don't know how.
No, I'm asking you, how do you do it? Because you've been to both, right?
Oh, how did well, how do I tell the difference? Well, the Presbyterian will fall asleep during a Catholic sermon, and the Catholic will
Catholics
sit
don't
there and
give
listen.
sermons, they give homilies.
Homilies, whatever. But it was quite difficult to have children raised in one religion,
Yeah,
Catholic, and be
supposed to be equally yoked.
slandered on the way to church saying all you Catholics are this, this, and this. So the kids now wanted to change to Judaism. By the time my son was 13, he wanted to
Uh,
become Jewish because that's all
uh,
he heard was negativity about the Catholic Church the
uh.
whole time.
What
This is
kind of negativity? What were the negative things they were saying?
only just the ex would say that Catholics were hypocrites. They always take your money. They want your
Uh,
paychecks. I mean,
Sounds like regular sin issues we all struggle with. The difference between Catholics and Protestants, what they're fighting over, if you don't know, I'll share it real quick. A Catholic believes that there are certain sacraments that you have to perform in order to be saved, in addition to what Christ did on the cross. A Protestant believes that the cross alone, what Jesus did, is sufficient for salvation. Other than that, there's just little. That's the big difference there. But
okay,
we both believe in a triune God, Father, Son, and Holy Spirit.
great.
We both believe that there's one baptism for the forgiveness of sins. We both believe that Jesus died and rose again 3 days because he was to pay a propitiation, which means a debt that we owe because of sin. And we both believe that sin is what's destroying everything in this world. And since we're talking about parental alienation, that's what parental alienation is. It's a sin that
Hmm.
needs to be repented of and forgiven.
Right.
So, how about talking about forgiveness? Let's talk about forgiveness.
Oh, forgiveness.
Yeah, since we're all Christians here, how hard was it to forgive your ex, and do you have to forgive them over and over again because they're still sinning against you, or do you
Well,
not? Do you think it's okay while they're until they repent?
I had to forgive to avoid any extra conflict. I had to forgive to be punished. I had to forgive to let the children laugh. I had to forgive every single day of my life while I was married for the 27 years. And
Mm.
I learned how to do it in a loving way. I didn't enable the abuse. I forgave the abuse because I knew if I ran, I would be dead. It was proven. It's the only reason why I ended up getting married, to save myself. And
Mm.
then the children came, so I wanted to save the children. So all I did was forgive, forgive, forgive. But you could
Mm.
only forgive so much. When it came to multiple affairs, you cannot forgive anymore. Your children are almost adults. You don't want them to see that it's okay to be cheating on your spouse. The
You know what?
children,
You should never ever um feel bad about that, right? Because there's two types. There's forgiveness and then there's reconciliation. And when Jesus says we can't forgive, we can't be forgiven without forgiving. He lets us off easy. He doesn't say we have to be fully reconciled to our enemies or anything like that. He doesn't want us to do that. When someone sins against us, there's a debt that's owed. It has to be fulfilled. And if you've lost decades or years with your children, that you can never be fully reconciled. So nor should you have to be, but you do forgive them, and forgiving just meaning that you're not going to shove it in their face. You're not going to use it as a weapon.
right?
Um, But, as they sin against you over and over again, then you've got to kind of do that again, you know. But that forgiveness is just something you can put at Jesus's feet and say, "Hey, thank you, Lord, because I got forgiven too of wicked evils, and I didn't deserve to be forgiven. So thank you for forgiving me." But when people continuously sin against you, they still owe you. They have to be held accountable, and we don't have to roll over and play dead. That's not that's not that's not what Jesus wants either. So especially adultery, man, forget it.
Yes, that's you can only take so much of that.
You shouldn't take any.
No, you shouldn't.
It's
But
the one thing that Jesus says you can get divorced over is adultery. That's
right,
the only thing.
right.
The other thing that I wish I read 1 Corinthians 7 sooner in my separation. The other thing that Paul in 1 Corinthians 7 says you can also get divorced for abandonment. Well, what he says is literally, if the unbelieving spouse chooses to leave, let him go. You are free. But he says that only because separation is divorce. When a spouse abandons you, they've divorced you. You didn't divorce them. So if they're gone, let them be. So, TJ, I still have to forgive my ex on a daily basis. Yes, he does. I know TJ. 26 years now that he's been alienated from his daughter.
Yes,
TJ,
I know TJ and I are on Facebook friends as well, and we support TJ all the way. He just had a episode at the hospital, so we're glad that he's home doing well. TJ, thank you.
And
For all
Holly,
your
I see
support.
Holly every year on Memorial Day. We have a Parental Alienation Memorial Day in Ocean City, New Jersey. All are welcome. Anybody wants to go next year?
I have a brother buried in New Jersey, 1957. He passed in Mount Sinai Hospital. My parents were refugees from Hungary, and my mom came over and became a U.S. citizen. And then 10 days later, my oldest brother passed
Oh,
and got buried. And then my mom decided to come to Canada and became a Canadian citizen. So she holds 3 citizenships from Hungary, US, and Canada.
wow. Oh,
No.
I mixed your geography up with Dolores in my head for a second. I was about to say I have Hungarian relatives from Long Island.
Oh,
So
really?
yeah,
Wow.
but that's
Wow.
Dolores is Long Island. You're Canada.
Yeah, I'm Canada, but it's okay. I know Dolores, so it's all right.
Zapo. My Hungarian heritage, their name is oh no, it's Zarkani. Zarkani.
Zucchini. Oh,
If
do
you
you
know
speak it?
your running name is Zarkani. I don't speak I don't. No, I don't speak any. I did know the numbers at one point, but
I have a Hungarian mom. She's going to be 93, so we're fluent in Hungarian. That was our first
wait, if I
language.
say Glumki, does that count as being able to speak Hungarian?
If you what?
If I say Glumki, does that count?
Golunki.
Glumpki.
Golunki.
Glumpki.
I never heard of that.
It's stuffed cabbage.
Oh, kaposta.
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 I guess be a different part of Hungary. We say
Maybe.
Glumki.
Maybe. What
That
happened to
might be my
Dolores?
Polish grandfather told my Hungarian grandmother to say Glumki. I don't know.
Kalumpy. Oh, I've
But they
never
both
heard of
make
that.
them. The
There's a
Hungarians
lot
and
of
the Polish.
slang, right? There's a
Huh?
lot of slang. There's a lot of European slang.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
there
There's
she is.
Dolores.
There she
I'm
is.
back.
Welcome
I'm
back.
back. It's time to light the cake.
There
Shall
we
we light
go.
the cake?
Yes.
I
Light
think
that
it's
cake.
time to light this cake to wish everyone a happy birthday.
Okay, come on, Molly. We're going to sing happy birthday.
We're gonna
Hold
sing
on.
happy birthday.
I gotta
Come
get,
on, Joe. You
I'm
have
gotta
to
ready.
get
sing
Molly's
too.
hat.
I'm all in. I love to sing.
There's Molly's
You have
hat.
to
Happy
sing.
birthday
Birthday
to
to
you.
you and you. Happy
Happy
birthday
birthday
to
to
you and
you
you and
and
you.
you.
Happy
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 birthday
birthday,
to everybody born in
dear
September.
children of
Happy
Happy
birthday
birthday
to
to
you.
you.
Ready? And
Happy birthday! Happy birthday! Happy birthday!
thank you, everyone, for joining us on Let's Talk Real Talk.
This looks
On
yummy.
Tuesday. Thank you, Joe, for coming with chat with us. It was great to
Thanks for
have you.
inviting me.
Dolores, thank you. On Tuesday, we have Richard Luthman coming at 1 p.m. So tune in on Let's Talk Real Talk on Parental Alienation then. Until what comes after September, we got October babies.
October.
Yes, October babies coming up. So Dolores, we'll see you at the end of the month of October. And Joe, welcome anytime. We're
Okay,
always
bye
here.
guys.
Thank
Bye-bye.
you.
Spread the word. Spread the word. Love, peace, and light. Take care. Have a
Absolutely.
good night.
Hey,
Thank
honey.
you for tuning in. Let's talk real talk on Parental Alienation with Dolores Feliciano and myself, Mariel Kovacs, and we will see you in October. Good night.
Bye.